I don't know where that came from. Oh, it's been one of those days. Definitely one of those days that the sprinkly rain got me. The old sprinkly rain got me today. God darn, got everything all wet. And that's what I got to say about that. It's called a little bit moist, right? It's a little moist. Hope everybody has a great Friday. Hope you're going to have a great weekend. I got to WD my winding bars because they are wet. So, some of the problems today. Some of the problems at hand today were, what is it, a J50? J50. Yes, a jack shaft lifter master. Probably from, what year was that one? It was in 18 is when it was installed, 18. Right? So 18. And, I don't know, there's probably like 3 openers at this place. It's got, I don't know what this place has got for. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's got about 20 doors. Probably right about there, somewhere 20-ish. 18, 20 doors. And 3 of the doors are experiencing this problem. When you open it, it goes up about 2 feet and it stops. So I called Cap. I was like, Cap. I was like, dude, what's going on with these things? Why are they doing this? I think he said there were about 3 factors. He said it could be wall button. He said it could be the opener is drawing too many amps, like the door is heavy. And that will, I think he was saying on that one, it'll cause the board to just like zap out like of energy, like it lost power. Or he said RPM sensor. They've had this problem for a while. It's intermittent. But I tell you what, leave it to that good old lift master. They will have problems like this. I don't know why they're so stinking glitchy sometimes. But, yeah. So we're going to try to find out as we're doing PMs there, which is great. PMs are good. What's up? What's up, man? What's up with you? How you doing? How you doing? Hope you're doing good. Look at my stuff all wet. Son of a gun. I don't like it all wet. So, yeah, the J50. I don't really mind. The J50s aren't really too bad. They're better than probably the Maximum. Maximum. Yeah. I kind of like this thing. I kind of don't like this thing. Because, like, you go to, like, throw it on the ground like you normally do with the other one, and you're like, I don't want to scratch and dent all this stuff up. This is too nice. Oh, 3 likes. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button if you would, please. And if you dislike, well, hit that twice. But this comes in handy if you need it. Oh, residential business owner. Commercial worth looking into. Your opinions? What's pay like? It seems dangerous. It is. It's a different animal. I can tell you we did those bigger doors. What are they? 23 by 16. They were basically a 9K profit job. You know what I mean? So, I mean, a 2-day event. So the bigger ones, you know, and it ain't always like that, right? I mean, right now we're doing PMs, which is kind of nice. I love doing PMs. Feels like the right thing to do PMs. So what I do notice though, which I can tell you in my humble experience of right now, like if you said, Dave, what struggles? And I'd say, well, sometimes I go a 3500 vehicle, either E350 or a F350 or a Chevy 3500. I go, you know what? In my mind, I go, that's minimum. You got to have 3,500 or bigger. Because today, I think the one it's a 35, I believe. We pulled that heavier scissor lift, and it was okay. It was okay, but it was kind of like you're like, yeah, when maybe like it wouldn't be a little bad idea to have like a dually or a 4,500, a little more tiny. So I believe, I mean, you can get away with it. Son of a biscuit's all wet. You can get away with it, renting a scissor lift and that for a while. But there starts to become a time issue if, it just becomes a time issue eventually down the road. If I think Tanner experienced it. I've experienced it. You're using somebody else's equipment. I mean, we got a really good company right now that won. And, they do good. We're renting it for a month. And, of course it worked out. I'm sure it feels like we're going to, I don't know why. I don't want to jump back in that bandwagon yet, but it feels like we're going to have to get a second lift again because like today, we're tied up at the one and it's like, ooh, it's like this job's going to take a lot longer. And then it turns into, Cap's telling me that he goes, well, it's a good thing you didn't take the second lift. He says, I need it for a municipality. I'm like, oh, well. I'm like, the other lift is there. Help yourself. So, but yeah, commercials, it's got its pros and it's got its cons. I mean, you got to normally sit in your money. Typically, they pay. I don't remember too many commercial people that screwed me over. I got a resi, though, that screwed me over, 1,500. Yeah, that was nice. That one was fun. Just heavier, bigger tools, equipment to put them in, but it's my favorite. Yeah, I mean, it's a different animal. There's no doubt about it. How do I, let's see, like today, and it's like weird because, okay, so I got to put this out there. Holy cow, look at that. We got 5 likes. Thank you guys so much. If you don't mind, hit that like button. Just wakes up the algo. So, in my opinion, this was even years ago, right? When I did commercial, when we started out, I needed 2. I needed 2 people. One was myself, one was my business partner. It was just a matter. To me, like I said, personal opinion, just have to do it because there's too many, like, there was a point, I mean, because once we got about probably, gosh, I don't know, sometimes it just depends on how many doors I got, right? But you get like 2 or 3 commercial customers, man, you can't be in all the same spot. So it's like, when you go commercial, it's like, we started out, I think I still probably would say that's okay. I did most of the paperwork and stuff, so I didn't have a secretary. And but there was times where it's like when the commercial calls, you know what I mean, and they're big boy stuff, you know what I mean. Like they can't wait, you know what I mean. They can't tell them, get to you next week. They're like, bull crap, man, this thing's crooked. We need somebody here now. Now, typically, sometimes the maintenance guys they'll cut the damn cables to get the door down, but they want that door running because that thing is ground level. Of course, it's their only ground level, right? That's how it goes. So, I always felt like you need to have 2 employees, 2 people on staff. You know what I mean? It's more fire drill. It's if you're that was a hard thing for me to learn. If you're really like go, sometimes with commercial, you gotta think like a union worker, right? You gotta have the plaid shirt, you gotta have the work boots with steel toe, you gotta wear the high vis if that's what makes them happy. You know what I mean? You gotta wear the harness if that's what makes them happy, depending who you work for and all that. It's not a quick grab cash, if that makes sense. Like you got to go in there. You might have to order some stuff. You might have to sit on some stuff. You might have to sit on 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. You might be sitting on a lot of money. You know what I mean? But it can be done, and you can work your way around it if you have certain customers and let them know. And if they understand, say, you know, if you're doing certain things, hey, this is a little more out of our realm. We got to have half down. There's ways around it. But I sure as heck wouldn't want to change it. Because I was literally thinking today, son of a gun, you almost need to get another worker on staff because it's pretty busy. But did you guys hear? Did you hear about the Trump thing? You know, I don't think the old market's doing that good. You know what I mean? Like, and then supposedly, the guy I was watching said the tariffs, right? The tariffs are on us, right? We always pay, right? You middle class, I'm middle class. We always pay, and so I guess yeah, you know. There's going to be some lawsuits, all right, but the money goes to the corporations, from what I understand from some of what the guy that was talking. Wonderful, wonderful. I wonder if Walmart will lower beef prices with that refund money. You know, beef's kind of expensive. I think gas is going up too. I heard gas is going up, so that'll be great. So, like I said, you know, doesn't matter who or what, we always pay. So, but anyways, yeah, you know, like I said, if you got the opportunity, if it's close, that's the big thing, right? If it's close, local, I mean, if it's easy, low-hanging fruit, absolutely, I would definitely entertain it. I'd try it, you know, especially if they give you the opportunity. Son of a biscuit, man. Gotta get a van. Can't stand this crap getting wet. So annoying. We even had the van out there today too, but I still like my own little tool kit just for whatever. We even tried to bring the old spring turner, but when you only got to put one turn on per door for PMs, you know, you don't need a big old spring turner. What you got on there? It goes to the lawyers. Yeah, it's all about the lawyers, man. It's something. That's always a really hard thing for me to kind of understand and grasp. The whole concept of the, you know, oh, the tariffs. And I'm like, you know, if you watch Peter Schiff or you listen to that, gosh, I don't know what his channel is. We talk about how we pay for it, you know. And I haven't seen, like I said, I know there is a little bit going on, but boy, I haven't seen nothing crazy. And how could you? How could you? These businesses take so long. Can you imagine building a mega plant, you know what I mean? And then you think you're going to hire Americans? Hell to the no. I don't have nothing against Americans, but, you know, they're too damn expensive. And then there's too many regulations. You can't beat somebody that's living on a dirt floor that has brownouts half the day, you know, with bare electric bill. They don't have to pay insurance, you know. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. I told myself years ago, I said, if I could probably get doors, I mean, it's still cheaper, right? If you get doors stamped and manufactured overseas, you know, and you can get them. I mean, if I could get them half the price of Rusty, Rich B, Tanner, oh yeah. Think about the profit I'd be making. You know? That's just what it comes down to. Not that I like it that way. I'm not saying I like it that way. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm trying to imply here. Oh. Hey, it's Richard. Richard's in the house. Everybody say hello to Richard. How you doing? I forget what movie that was. When that guy always said, he'd go, do it. Just do it. Do it. God, I gotta watch that movie, man. I kind of miss it. Rich, I did want to tell you, though. Dude, that video of that truck one was spot on. I mean, if you were going to get, like, excited over a video, that was a video, man. I was going to tell you, I actually watched that video yesterday. It popped up. The one about the new truck. And man, I was so happy for that guy to make a video like that. I was like, man, he is right on. And for him to actually tell the truth and not glorify it. You know what I mean? Be like, this is the best investment. I've only had to spend $80,000 on it to repair it, but this has been the best truck. You know, this thing gets 28 miles per gallon. Oh man, cold. Yeah, we got a snow. We got a little bit of snow. I don't know about Rich. You got snow down there? Our roads are a little bit covered here. We got about half an inch, 3/4 covering stuff. So that's not cool because the Wifetron's got to drive south. She's actually got to meet up with PT and deliver that opener. I got it right here. I'll show it to you in a second. Where's the one tools I had to go in here? Oh, what's the other one? Oops, just some batteries. So we're doing a little truck clean out because I got to do a, right, when you don't have another service vehicle, you got to clean it out. And I don't want to bank on, oh, Milwaukee, how'd you fall down there? Dang, that thing's all rust. I'm so happy. I don't hardly ever use it. I got that 1/2 inch. Oh yeah. Just once in a while, that 1/2 inch comes in real handy. Just spray it down a little bit. You know, I know she's going right by the border there somewhere. That's all I know. She's going to some, I don't know if it's a school for volleyball for the kiddos. She's gonna have, what does she got? She's got like 2. She's got my youngest and she's got my middle. And then I got the oldest. And so I'm in charge of her. I'm not gonna lie, my truck really don't get too messy, but cause I like to keep a clean truck, you know. Even though she's an old truck, I like to keep a clean truck. But man, it's on a little bit of the dirty side. It's like dirty. So I'm gonna try to get it. I don't know what time. I'm actually waiting for her. She should be messaging me, but she's actually hanging out at her sister's for a little bit. They had to watch one of the other kiddos. One of their my sister-in-law's youngest. She was doing cheer, so she asked if they would come and watch, and so they did. And but now I think she's gonna regret a little bit of it because she's gonna be pushed for sleep. And the fact that she's not back yet, and you know how that goes. If you got kiddos and all that, it takes about an hour or two for them to all wind down and get their showers, brush teeth, all that jazz. 8 likes, my goodness, you guys are so generous. Thanks for hitting the like button. Dave, coming to break down and get your cutaway van. Hell, I know how those boxes. Yeah, you could have bought 2. I know, it's funny because what was it? I think Mr. Caleb was asking. He's like, you think I should buy the Milwaukee? And I was like, man, I said, these are like $200 a pop. I said, I don't know if I would spend that money. I mean, he's all about the van. He's like, dude, heck yeah. After he's drove a few of the ones. Here's PT's opener. Give him all the goodies here because I don't know, you know what I mean? Maybe needs a cover. Hopefully that gear will be okay. I should reevaluate this gear. I don't see nothing wrong with it. I don't see no cracks. Just make sure it's still got all the teeth, which it looks like it does. But I don't know why they got rid of it. It could be all stripped out and I just don't even know it. So that'll go to a new home, which is great. That's cool if it can get refurbished. So I got my eyes though. I just don't know if I want to. I'm struggling because LaPorte, I thought it was like Michigan City or something. I mean, it's right by that. I think it's right by that casino, which I don't know what casino is. And there's a dispensary there. It's a pretty big one because the one day I drove down, I was like, my goodness, I said there's a lot of activity going on around here. So that's about the extent. I was supposed to talk to her because I still got to get with PT about a time. I think she's driving down in the morning. She said morning would be the best. Because before they go in, because you know how it is. Once you're doing a sport event, you don't know. You know, if they win games, lose games, they could be. It might be a couple hours, or 3 or 4 or 6, or it might be 20. You know, just never know with those. Oh man. What's this say here? Not the Lanier that exploded. No, that one went in a dumpster. No, that one went in a dumpster. No, I kind of regret doing that because that's the one that PT kind of needed. So, yeah, I kind of regret doing that. Could have used the parts. I just don't ever come across them. You know what I mean? I never come across them. So, and it's a shame too because, you know, Rich had to send me that Dodge, and that's what I've been looking. I'm like, man, I was thinking about like a brand new Dodge, not a 25, just a 15, because it'd be a little bigger than the old Nissan, but it's just, you gotta have that. I hate being controlled sometimes by all that stuff. You gotta be full coverage insurance, and then if the truck breaks down, and then you take it in, and then they tell you they can't get a motor for 2 months, and then you're like, do I turn my insurance off or do I leave it on? So, yeah. Yep. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to work that hard. And then they got the cutaways. Cutaways are running, what are they? There's somebody, I think they're lying. They say they're 45 brand new. I think they're more like 65, 72 for brand new. Cutaway. So, I don't know. Then I thought about maybe a year or two old. And then, like, maybe it'd be like I take over Cap's. Cap, get a new one. He runs them harder than I do. But, I don't know. I just don't know. So, we're making do. I mean, right now we had a guy off today. So I stole his van. And then, to pull the lift. So it all works out. It's all working out. You make it work out. You just make it work out. Excuse me. Let's see here. The problem is I've tried with other manufacturers, but I haven't even got a call, email back. Okay, can't find a willing to sell doors to me because I'm starting out. Yeah, it takes time. It takes time. But, you know, what were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about this one. It was, what do you call it? Let me see if I can get you guys here. Eep. Eep. So, what was I thinking? Oh, so I was talking to Mr. Caleb, and for some reason we were talking about openers. Oh, that's what it was, because one of the technician guys, he called me, and he installed a brand new box store, right? But it's the 4505 or something, but it's Chamberlain, and he was having problems with it yesterday. He installed it anyways. It kept popping the breaker. And so he's like, you know, of course it happens, you know, at the end of the day, never fails, blah, blah. So I asked him when he was talking to me today, he goes, yeah, I had an, issue yesterday. I had to get it fixed, and I said, okay. He goes, I figured it out. I put it in on an extension cord, hooked it to another outlet, didn't have a problem. I'm like, okay, so it's probably not the opener. It might be the outlet's going on. And I said, well, did the old opener work? And I'm thinking he's probably going to say, no, I didn't even try it, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, anyways, he said, no, he said it did work. I'm like, well, that's weird. He goes, but maybe because it's 3/4 horse. So he's like, I'm trying to look up the specs on it. He's like, but I'm not, not an electrician, and I don't blame him. And I was like, I don't really see that being a big ordeal. I could see it being maybe because it's a box store or because it's part of Chamberlain Group. They're having issues. But I mean, Jeannie has theirs too. But Jeannie doesn't seem to be. They seem to be a little bit cleaner shirt right now in the dirty laundry basket. So anywho, but Caleb said something about. He goes, that makes me think about that one. He goes that one that had like 240 volts, the outlet. And I said, I know. And he goes, I said, could you imagine though? I said, if you would have checked that and that would have, I said, you would have done that? That would have been your job? And I said, you would have installed the smoke? He goes, oh yeah. And I said, you'd be out, man. You'd be out like $200-300. And he's like, yeah, I don't even know what I would do. He's like, I was like, I know. I said, what are you supposed, is that on the customer? I said, who eats that? I said, you know, and he goes, yeah, I don't, you know, and I said, I know what you do. I said, you shove that thing back in the box. And I said, you take it back to the store. And you tell them, don't put this one on the shelf. Something wrong with it. And hopefully they take care of you. You know what I mean? And hopefully you learned your lesson. I don't know, you know, like I said, it could happen to anybody. I normally don't check power. I mean, I will check power out the outlet, but I don't check the voltage. But I guess if I stick my charger in there and it smokes my charger, it's probably a good indication something's going on. But anyways, what I was trying to get to is that I think when we're young or when we're just starting out, you know, like myself, right? Like I've mentioned this before, right? I had this vision. I was thinking, oh my gosh, if I got with Wayne Dalton, if I just only got, everybody knows Wayne Dalton, I'm going to be rich. And so anyways, Mr. Caleb was saying something about possibly a different location, a different house, living status, whatever. And he goes, yeah, if I move there, he goes, I'll put a sign in the yard. And I said, what do you mean I put a sign there? He goes, well, I said, you don't know what the regulations are in that city and stuff. I said, and it's like probably a subdivision is my guess. But I'm thinking, now I'm not saying it doesn't hurt, don't get me wrong, but it's like, that's not going to make you, you know what I mean? Like people, that isn't gonna, you're not going to get people from California. You're not going to get people from other cities. You know what I mean? Like it all takes time. And so what I'm trying to get at is, try to make the customers. Worry about the customers more than the product. You know what I mean? You can always start moving up in product. You can always buy the stuff, you know what I mean? But it's what the customers will pay in your demographics. You know what I mean? What you can actually sell, what you can actually make a deal on, what you can negotiate. You know, I got a punch in the face today, right? I got to come up with a solution, right? I got a punch in the face today. We're there, right? And this little cocky ass dude comes up to me and he's like, he says something about the floors or something. And he goes, and if you can't do those doors first, he says, we don't want you here. And now I just stepped foot on the property. I'm already kind of like, what's that? Like, what did you just say? And he goes, you know, and he says, well, we're scrubbing the floors because we got a lunch tomorrow or something. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, we're already in this back area of this building working. And I'm thinking, and he's like, we don't want footprints and we don't want tire tracks from the lift. And I said, okay. I said, well, here's the thing. I said, I don't even think we're going to get through all these doors right here. I said that we're in this area, you know. And so then he's telling me, well, there's another problem with another door. And I said, well, why don't you show me? So he shows me and stuff. Anyways, we're walking. I don't even know how we came across it. Anyways, I said something. And he goes, who? He goes, who are you with? And I said, you know, affordable or blah, blah. And he goes, I called you guys. And he goes, you guys were the highest price. And I was like, oh, I said, yeah. I said, well, stuff like that happens. I said, depends on what you're working with and secretary and stuff. I said, so, you know, and anyways, what it made me start thinking, right? I thought, you know, maybe that's why these big corporations always do price match. Now I know, I can already see the comments. I don't do that. I know. But could you imagine that would eliminate? Because now, like I was explaining to Mr. Caleb, I said, look, now I know how I work, right? You kind of screw me over on price, I don't ever come back. I'm like, I got a mechanic that it seems like every time I bring them something, they don't work on it or they charge. It just never goes smooth, right? It's always like something. And I drive by out there all the time, right? And guess who doesn't have the most cars? They do. You know what I mean? And I know in the back of my head, like, I don't even want to bother because there's such an inconvenience or because their prices are so high. I just go, I'm not even, nope. I'm like, I don't even want to call them, like, because they're out of my world. You know what I mean? Like, their stuff don't make sense. It's not like I get a better product or a better quality of work. So it's the same. It's average. It's putting nuts and bolts together. So I guess what I'm saying is, you know, just work with what you got. You know, your market. Don't worry about, you know, if you got to use a box store, if you got to use a lumber yard, and just slowly escalate your way up. Don't think because you can't get in one place that's the end all be all, because it's not. Because most people, a lot of my viewers, right? You know, they go get their stuff. You know what I mean? Like me, I'm like in a different world. I don't go. I can't think of the last time. We don't go pick things up. Everything comes to us. But that took 18 plus years. You know what I mean? So it didn't happen overnight. So it takes time. Oh. 45? No, this one, I think it's a lie, Rusty. The 45 is like what they're advertising, but when I was on their website one time, it says like, click here to see actual price. And I thought, okay, you know what I mean? Because the average is like I'm seeing is 65 to 72. And that's for a full cutaway. What I do like about the Fords, I will give them that, is I like that they're coming, you know, the 7.3's got lifters. Every damn thing's got problems, but they're the least dirty, you know, the least dirty shirt in a dirty laundry basket. But it comes with a 7.3 Godzilla. And far as I can tell so far, some don't spec it out that way, but I've seen on other ones, a 6-speed. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like a vehicle that still comes with a 6-speed and they're not shoving a 10-speed. Why? I wonder what could be wrong, you know? And so maybe they're still trying to keep the cutaways like reliable to some degree. I don't know. Maybe they're too heavy. They can't, I don't know. Maybe they don't fit. I don't know. But every time I revert back to, I go, just get a Chevy Express. You just know the Chevy Express. But every time I look at it, I go, oh, 6.6? That's not so bad. I could live with a 6.6. A little oil consumption here and there. Yeah, maybe, okay. At least it ain't the 6.2. But then I go, 10-speed. And I go, ugh. I don't want the 10-speed. No 10-speed. Give the 6-speed. Because, well, I don't know because it's just longevity, I guess. You know what I mean? You never know what you're going to be in 5 or 10 years. What the status is going to be. Another cough syndrome going on. You don't even have a choice to get a new vehicle. So those are things that cross my brain. Oh. Lumber yard could sell a decent door. Some garage door server companies will sell you doors as well. That's how I've been doing it. Yeah, I mean, exactly like Evan, man. I mean, that's really a good way. I mean, like I said, if a person comes to me, they're an installer, whatever, right? I might make like 20. I might make $50. Probably not more than $100 off top of you. You know what I mean? That's not that much. You know what I mean? You're already going to get a cheaper price. You're going to get a better quality, and you know, it's going to be handled with love and care. And I mean, sometimes stuff still comes damaged. This is what it is. But you know what I mean? Like there's so many more like nowadays, everybody's got so much more opportunity than I did. You know what I mean? Home Depot. Can reference how much sell predictions for future. That's true. They're all connected, so they also do watch how much you're buying and stuff. If you go to another grocery company and ask for a contractor rate, lumberyard as well. Okay, yeah, smaller lumberyards. Some of them will other direct. Nice. Garage door coming down. Which date? Wait till HOA. That's what I'm saying, man. Like you know, and I get it, man. I was young. And now that you know all the regulations, and I told him, I said, dude, this ain't even like your own pad, man. I said, you're just kind of crashing. I said, you can't, you don't want to disturb the peace too bad, like, township getting after you. You got to watch that stuff, man. They want to tax you. They always want to tax you. More focus on building reputation. I have a guy that I know who owns a garage who has an account with Wayne. Don't get for me. Oh, man, there you go. You got it, man. And you got to remember too, like, just because let's say you get in Wayne Dalton. Now, I didn't know this, right? Right? I didn't know this. They got an A, a B, and a C pricing. And I forget which way it is. I think A is the best, C is the worst, right? And you're going to be on the C right from the get go. So you're going to pay higher. I didn't know that existed. You know what I mean? And then that's why, in a nutshell, I just had one was it 2 days ago? Facebook, right? The guy's like, unless you have, it was like I don't know what it was, like a steel back with windows, 16x7. I could already tell he was funneling that way. And then he's like, I told him it's like $1,800. He shows me his thing. He didn't mean to. He showed it to me because I told him, I said, what kind of springs you got on? I said, you don't got extension springs in this thing, do you? I told him it's gonna be like, I said, you're looking at like $450. I said, for labor just to install it. No takeout, no nothing, just new install. The house was caught fire, stuff got gutted. And he said, it'd be a great job for like Caleb or something. It's great learning. He can go out and make a few bucks. And I said, so he said, but he showed me, and he was like I think $1,100 or $1,200. That's probably before tax, and that's probably without weather seal. So he's probably sitting for 15, give or take. And I mean, it's still cheaper, but it's going to be crappier quality, in a nutshell. But they don't care in my neck of the woods. It's always price, 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 for the most part. Most of the time, our commercial, we can recoup back in our commercial. Sometimes the residential is almost like Lowe's was back in the day, where it's like you kind of keep the payroll going, keeps everybody greased, and then you do those bigger jobs, boom, that's your home run. You knock them out of the park, and then you make your, sometimes the fencing, the gates. It's a ball of stuff, you know what I mean? Some you lose. Like I said, Resi got me for 15. That sucks. But it is what it is. I mean, it's, lost 15, made 20. You know what I mean? So, what do you do, right? Learn, I didn't think it was the GC guy on that one. I think it really was the homeowner. I suppose they're selling it. It's got a lien on it now. Completely Louisiana, man. That's where it's that one that always says, get your Popeyes. That's what it is, Popeyes. Everybody loves Popeyes. Get me a chicken sandwich. Sounds pretty darn good right now. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I said, I can't always say the price match to the bottom. It just eliminates that controversy. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the same thing I've learned. They used to, maybe somebody can remember. What is it? Contingency? I think it was a contingency. So this electrical company that does, they do all kinds. I don't think they really do much residential anymore, but they do a lot of commercial, medium commercial to way upper commercial. They put a contingency in there. And what it is like, when you look at your bottom line, right? Because that's what everybody does, right? My wife, sometimes she can get yakking. I get secretaries, whatever. And I'm like, just cut the fluff. What's the bottom price here? And normally I'm looking for a 3 average, you know what I mean? So then I start kind of thinking about okay, what's the quality of work, or what kind of work have I seen them do? Holy cow, 13 likes. Thank you so much for the likes too. So I'm just like, so it's just, but anyways, that contingency would be off on the side. And I remember looking at one, it was for a residential. I think it was for like a service panel. And there was a contingency in there for $5,000. And unforeseen circumstances. I think that's what it was. And a contingency, unforeseen circumstance, something like that. And so they left that off, that this bill could possibly be another $5,000. But they understand the algorithm that, you know what I mean? Like if they put that in the bottom price, they're going to look like, everybody's just going to look at the price and go, oh, man, these guys are 5,000 higher than the other guys. So they put that contingency in there. So what I always like to do is, if I don't really know, I'm like, man, this job's got to be X amount. I always like to put not to exceed, because then that always gives me an scapegoat, right? Because how many times, I know it's not in your guys' neck of the woods, but like I said, how many times man, you were $3,000 higher than the other guy. You were $5,000 higher than the other guy. You were $10,000 higher than the other guy. And like I said, in my general area, my builders, my consumers, my customers don't give a rat's ass. You know what I mean? I mean, let's say like even with Rusty, right? He bought a truck for 45, or his brother did, right? He didn't go spend 100. Why did you go spend 100? You know what I mean? No, it's the same damn truck. You go pay 45. You take it for 40. If you can get it for 35, you get it for 35. You know what I mean? It's not like after the fact the dealership's coming out going, "Hey, we're gonna buff and we're gonna change the oil in it," and you know we're gonna that's what people think. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like I just so I like that where I didn't like that today because I didn't really know who this guy was. I didn't know if he was the son of the owner. And we did have that one time that we had the big guy that was in charge. We worked for this company for years, but he's kind of the numbers cruncher. And I never really dealt with him. He was like the next guy up from the facility maintenance guy. And this facility has like 6 locations. I mean, we're talking, they own, you know, a quarter of Lake Michigan lakefront, let's just say. And so, anyways, this guy calls and gets a price, and he didn't identify himself right away, right? So the secretary goes through the numbers, she gets him a price, and I mean, this dude like came unglued. He's like, I don't understand. I think it was either like $3,000 or $6,000 higher than other places that he's called, and it's like, whoa, it's like what's going on here, you know? So, you know, Cap did an awesome job. He stepped in, just said, "Hey, there was a miss. You know, we didn't know who you were, and that shouldn't matter, right? That shouldn't matter." And he was, you know, it was almost like you guys are, you know, like you guys are charging me what? You're charging me this much for it was for like I think it was for a rental house or for a cabin or something he had, and he like it really made him question like maybe I need to find somebody else to work on a facility. You guys must be really raking us over. So. And that's why I always preach, that's why I really dislike the business sometimes because, when it's properties that you own and you rent, like I said, every day, money just trickles in. And if they don't like it, they normally sign a year contract anyways, minimum. And you know what I mean? It's just so much more like less ups and downs. And you got to have a guy today tell you, geez, I called around, you guys were the highest. And it's like, yeah, okay. And I'm thinking like, is that why he's all being fluffy here? Like, I think we need to find somebody else to do our preventative maintenance. I don't know. Hope not. I mean, this is a pretty good customer. We're not trying to gouge you, but it's just the way that algo works, where it's when you punch in the percentages, when you try to do 30% or whatever, and that just is not normal. People just... Still wet. Important to myself. Go and cross those bridges when you get there. All field pursue this because determined. Nice. Different lumberyard for doors. Oh, different lumberyard because they can get me a better price? Oh, Evan, how dare you? How dare you shop at Walmart versus the expensive brand? Lumber yards, getting doors through. Ooh, got the 4-speed. Nice. Had the 6. Last 2 days, 22 was 6-speed, 26 10-speed. Quicker because your shifts. Oh, so much faster. Nice. Well, like I said, you got to watch that car nut guy or whatever it is. The car guy, right? It's that one guy, that Next Gen Auto. I think it's Next Gen. Next Gen? It's Next Gen. Next Gen Auto. Man, he just has nothing but bad. He's like, they never fixed that damn 10-speed. 52.7 million. Ooh, nice. Trans from totaled. Ooh. Tomo didn't know that existed either. Oh. 10-speed, rusty, it's nice for pulling the lifts. Let's see if anybody knows the numbers. Most companies don't price match, will profit and actually lead to losses. Yeah, it might, but it's like, So like here's something I'll tell you that I don't think we think about. Now this is my opinion, just my opinion, and I'm probably gonna go off here. Buff, wax on, wax off, wax on, Danielson, wax off. So we got a customer. He does residential, and I don't know exactly what the algos are going to lead to on this, the algorithm, or what you put in the universe, right? But here's the thing. How do I say this? So here's how this works, right? I sold the door. I forget what size. It's going to be, I think it's standard, but it's got low headroom or something. Secretary says, I'll probably just do the normal markup, blah, blah, blah. I said, no. I said, don't do it. I said, I want to do it. I said, here's why. I said, because I did $75 because I'm playing with the system, right? And I know there's a couple ways you can do it. You want to be busy? Be the low guy. You'll be swamped, right? Now, I'm not saying you're going to make money, right? You'll be running around like a chicken with your head cut off, but you will attract the flies. You know what I mean? So there's a balance. But either that or you got to pump a hell of a lot of money in advertising, right? And you got to go through 30 phone calls to finally get the one call that'll pay you, whatever, $2, $4, $6, $1,200, $5,000 more than those other jobs, right? And then the customer finds out they could have got it done cheaper. They never, you know what I mean? Like, so anyways, I said $75. Why is the reason for $75? Because it's going out the door. And I said, and she's like, says something, about, oh, you like losing money. Well, I've had an accountant tell me the same thing. And I told her, I said, this business wouldn't be here. I said, she wouldn't even have a job. I said, if it wasn't for sometimes the way I do things. So the reason being is because this customer has purchased another door from me, right? And this guy installs. He's an installer. But he told me flat out, and he understands, he knows. And I'm not saying we won't raise the price a little bit, but until we either get to that threshold that I would like to see at some point, which would be great, through the company, and Cap's along with this too, because he's, he sees kind of the future. And I said, here's the thing. This guy already told me, he goes, that saves me an hour drive than going to the other company, I won't say names, but the other company that we would buy from too. We used to buy stuff from all the time. They're a great company. They really are. We just don't do it anymore because we don't have the time. We are constantly out in the field. We don't have time. We have to use, we sometimes have to ask certain people to come back. We have to have the secretary. We have to have, sometimes the truck drivers have to unload by themselves because we just don't have the time. We're always out in the field right now. So here's the thing, right? But what I think people are missing in this whole thing here is that when you go out, like, so you get a door, right? You get a garage door. Well, I'm going to go, right, you are. But do you understand how much the truck cost? Do you understand how much tools cost? Do you understand what it costs to have employees? Do you understand that your body is breaking down and that you're going to die one day? Like, do you understand the liability that's out there? Because I really don't see anybody. I talk to the truck drivers and all that, and I, with my own two eyes, the roads are not getting any safer. They're not getting any better. There's more distracted drivers than I've ever seen. There's more accidents than I've ever seen. So for me, it's like if you can push something out the door, you make $20, $10, depending on what it is, 45, $75. And then you start multiplying that times 2, times 5, times 10, times maybe 100 for the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can outbeat people, you know what I mean? Because you're distributing product. Now, trust me, I can only imagine what my distributor the one is going through right now with LiftMaster or Genie or Lanier or whoever. We just installed, right, another gate operator that has a single belt, single pulley, and I am ticked because I took parts off an old one to make the other one, last one, you know what I mean, not be so shaky. And I know it's because they're doing it because the freaking bean counters are doing this crap. And so my theory is, if you watch the YouTube University at all, things are not getting better. I hate to tell you, things are getting worse. You're paying a hell of a lot more money for these stupid vehicles that are all made out of plastic, that they're trying to make them so efficient, right? With, 8 speed and 10 speed, and now we need a 20 speed or whatever. You know what I mean? And fuel deactivation systems. You know what I mean? Who's paying for it? Who's working their ass off to pay for this stuff? Who's losing time with their babies, with their kids, with their loved ones, with their wives, their families, their friends, to try to accommodate this bull crap that they keep feeding us? You know what I mean? They keep feeding us this garbage. And, as far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean? Y'all, right? If you're badass men, badass Americans, you need to vote with your freaking wallet. Quit buying this shit. You know what I mean? Our grandpappies, used to come from a farm they worked on their own damn tractors. Shit, we can't work on nothing now. You know what I mean? It's, we got to take it in. It's got software. I'm watching the new Dodge, right? You can't even plug an OB2 in or whatever. You got to hook into this other sensor. Now they made the sensor back behind the dash so you can't even get to it. That to me is like, kiss my ass. You're not going to do that to me that I can't get my own information. It's just like the John Deere's. You guys have been hearing it for years. John Deere has it where they can't get the software. You know what I mean? To work on their own damn tractors. Could you imagine? You know what I mean? When you got to plow the field or get the crop up, you only got a certain window and you got a damn sensor shutting you down. Oh, I'd be ticked. And I'm looking at the list yesterday, what they have for LiftMaster, and I'm going, damn, it sure does seem like all they're pushing is LED lights. And I thought, the average man or average woman at home will not be able to just go to the hardware store or go to the pantry and get a freaking light bulb. No, we have to replace, it's going to be $170 for the damn light bulb. You know what I mean? Like, that's just stupid. That's just stupid engineering to me. Oh, sorry. End was okay. That's just how I feel. We installed, let's see, 8-7 rays, 9 insulated material, cost 14, 815 labor. Oh, came in $100 cheaper than the bigger local company. Yeah, see, I mean, they wanted the cheaper. They wanted that $100. Maybe you just never know. You just never know. Like I said, if I go to my, Walmart ain't as big as they're big because they got the most expensive prices. You know what I mean? People go there because they're cheap and they got the crappiest service. You know what I mean? But people flock in there. You know what I mean? I can't think of anything. That's why when you go to the store, it's not American-made washers and dryers, and it's some people get it, right? 17. Oh my gosh. 925. Needed to add boxes. Trucks are expensive. They're expensive. It's all expensive. Big League Lumber, I'm dealing with Dave. Local single location. Nice. Yeah, it just all depends. Like I said, everybody's got different, the numbers, the number game. You know what I mean? But it's whoever works for you. That's the biggest thing. You know what I mean? If you got a local place that works good, you got a place a little farther away, and they give you good service. I think that's why I always learned from that one guy that always said something about, he's like, you need to think about the dealership, and how they treat you. Are they close? Are they going to get taken care of? Like, I wouldn't own a Jaguar, right? Even if they came out with a Jaguar truck, we don't have nobody to service the damn thing around here. And that becomes a real big problem when you got to drive an hour and a half one way to drop it off. And then, they supposedly fixed it. And then you get it back to drive it all the way back and it's still not fixed. Now you got to take it back. And then, that stuff gets old. Yeah, if you do shop local, I mean, you especially if we're in the shirts, you got the advertising. I mean, like the guy today, right? Of course, right? Of course, why not? I got the one guy that blows me up. He's like, I called your guy's place. He's like, that place was the highest. And then I got another guy. He's like, what are you guys doing? I said, oh, we're just, he's the guy that's the mechanic there. I said, we're just working on, PM doors. He goes, you guys work on like residential? Yeah, we work on residential. Well, I got this 10 by 8 and the builder dropped. It was a brand new build, bottom panels all smashed, but it was from Ideal, or from Menards. I said, well, honestly, you'd be better off getting the sections from Menards. I said, and I said, then we can come out, and he was asking about an opener. But of course, right, he's like, it was funny. I learned something new today because I said, we actually have an opener. I said, used one. I said, we could give away. I said, pretty darn good price. And he's like, really? He goes, well, does it have the Wi-Fi or whatever? And I said, no. I said, as far as I know, it don't. I'm sure you can do a LAN connect or some bull crap, but it's just, going to be easier and better for him to go LiftMaster if they want to do that. And I said, did you really use that? And he goes, well, actually, one time, my sister was in the area and she was pregnant. Well, she had to use the bathroom and I just said, well, you can stop at the house, but you ain't got a key. So he said, I opened up the garage door, with my phone. And I said, oh, all right, well, that's kind of a new one. I said, good idea. Makes sense. So you might want like a LiftMaster, more techie. Then you match that guy. I don't know. Like I said, we still got to there's still a price sheet that's got to be put together. You know what I mean? Most of the time, it's all pretty much done over the phone. Like everything so far, the guys have been going out. Like, I talked to Cap the other day. He was going up to one that was like 45 minutes away, and he goes, I'm going up to get a half down check. He says they already been, pre-qualified, and, and he said, I'm just double checking the dimensions to make sure everything still is good. And I said, well, all right, cool. I was like, wow, must be rubbing off. I was like, good for you. Good job. Duramax, the Duramax van. Charge that. Greet Devin, the place I'm dealing with. Buying up doors through them. Get some perks like fancy dinner. Ooh, NFL, yeah. Yeah, there's certain things you can do, I don't know. It's kind of a butter up scheme a little bit, It seems kind of good, but it's just kind of a buttering scheme, I guess. I guess the reason I bring this up is when I was doing the car washes, I had this guy, every time I was with him, he'd always buy me lunch. He bought us multiple, we'd go to the baseball games, and he'd get that, like, he'd have all the vendors or whatever, and he'd have like a whole room, buffet, beer, you name it. And it was kind of cool and fun at first, for a little bit, but then you kind of realize you're like, yeah, I got other things to, it's kind of like, I'm talking to the guy that works, that mechanic guy today, and he goes, yeah, because they were having that party tomorrow, and they didn't want us dirtying up the floor with the scissor lift. And sometimes it's like, it just comes down to like when I feel like as I get older, I just go, I rather just have the money and I rather have the time, you know what I mean, to do what I want. If you want to, play video games, you want to play football, you want to go sports, you want to go sit in the woods and go hunting, whatever it is. But this guy says, he goes, they're doing it. I said, like, giving bonuses? And he goes, no. He goes, we're just having a breakfast. And I said, probably for what, like an hour? He goes, I don't know. I think it's from like 8 to noon. He goes, and I said, well, at least it's not super early. And he goes, actually, I'd rather it be early so it doesn't eat up half the day. And I'm like, oof. I got, tell the bosses here, just cut these dudes a check. Forget the breakfast. You have a great weekend too, Richard. Thanks for stopping by. Profitable. Rusty, yeah, says, but man, it says sweet van. Can't beat the van, man. The closure, especially if you got bad climates, it's just, I said, my crap's all wet. The whole back of my truck's wet. Everything in rust. Even got a brand new hammer just sitting back here. Bought the other day. What did it do? It got wet. It got wet. It's all wet. It's going to start rusting. Oh, yeah, looks like it's already got a little bit starting right there. Ugh. All new yeah, built with that expiration time. Exactly, man. That's why, what do they call it? The planned obsolescence. uh, trucks and lifts, dude. It's that's why I'm like, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I'm not crazy. Like, if you can sell stuff out the door, I, I mean, for instance, let me hold on a second. I gotta just double check something. Did I lose you for a second? I'm back. I'm back. Hold your skivvies. So, anyways, the reason so like for us, right? We got a beautiful location, beautiful. Like we can advertise, we could put stuff out, we could put all kinds of other stuff if we wanted to. But that's what I'm saying. There's a unforeseen, like I want to say like a tax, but there's unforeseen expenditures. You know what I mean? That are happening. Like we don't know. We can buy a new vehicle, and the new vehicle still could go down. And then they tell us it's going to be 2 months because they're not producing motors. And you're like, what do you mean they're not producing motors? Well, they're not producing motors for repairs. They're producing because they're so busy. They're producing them for the production line. Well, why are they producing them for the production line? Oh, they're doing it because they can send those to the dealership and then charge people $10, $20, $30,000 over, make their profit than for you to do a warranty, right? Because warranty, we don't really make any money. Nobody wants to do warranty, right? So that's what I'm saying is like there's all these unforeseen things versus when somebody comes to you and purchase something, right? What do? You take the phone call. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Why don't you bring that back on your dime, on your pickup truck, on your money, on your fuel. So sorry to hear that. Now, like I said, I'm not saying there's no problems, but like I said, when you got to go install it, you know what I mean? It's like the guy that I learned this from the vendor. And he was telling me how his dad was so upset because when he started the business, that's what he did. And he said, but I watched my dad never be home. You know what I mean? He was always out working. And he said, I didn't want to be like that. So he ended up, doing, now he sells product. He's done really good. Like I said, he's the biggest LiftMaster distributor in Michigan. And he's also just built another building behind his one building. He does do delivery a little bit, I think, for certain customers. But now his son's kind of taken over. And he does really good. He does really good. But it took years. I mean, he was been doing that longer than me even being around. So, I mean, he's probably 25, 30 years in it. But what I'm getting at is that it's kind of like when I subbed. Dude, I'm telling you what, that was like sometimes the best thing I've ever felt in my life. Like to put that in somebody's pickup truck, that's not my pickup truck. You know what I mean? They don't have to sit there and worry that they're letting it run all day. They don't have to sit there and worry about them like they're revving it up. I don't have to worry about them siphoning gas out of it. I don't have to worry about them like not checking the transmission fluid. Like I put it in a subs and I pay this guy X amount. And if he gets it done in 2 hours, he makes more money. If it takes him 4 hours, he didn't make quite as much money. If it takes him 6, he pretty much broke even. You know what I mean? But sometimes, like I said, I just want to walk up by the end of the road and wave at him. Just be like, bye, have a great day. Because I didn't have to worry about him. But when you bring employees, well, things can change, especially if you don't have good employees. You know what I mean? So things can be a big, it's drama this, drama that. And like I said, if you have breakdowns, those are unforeseen where, so like I was explaining it the other day to one of the ladies. I said, because they were kind of giving me a little fluff. And I said, well, look at it this way. I said, I would rather have 5 doors coming from Rich B. That's my code. I said, I'd rather have 5 doors coming from Rich B. And I said, I need to add a couple openers. I said, but I'm not going to make somebody drive up for 2 openers. You know what I mean? But if I already have 5 doors coming, well, shoot, it ain't nothing to add a couple openers, a little bit of angle, maybe some springs, maybe another door. You know what I mean? But if you're only buying 2 openers, let's say they're even just head only, well, I don't really like that. I don't want to, how do you say it? Lose my welcome mat, let's say. Typical Google ad costs you a lot of money. We're working on it right now. Right now, it's just local. It's just organic. We don't even pay for Google ads, but it's in the works. It's in the works, but we're slowing down again on it because we're just too darn busy. For parts, even when they give comments on my new truck decals. Nice. I mean, here's the thing, right? Y'all have to remember, even myself and stuff like that, right? We're all just trying to put food on the table. That's it. That's what everybody's trying to do. Everybody is trying to take care of themselves. Everybody's trying to take care of their offspring. That's all it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, unless you're in the one club, Rich B knows the club, you know, we're just the invisible. I don't want to say the word, but we got the handcuffs sometimes. Dang, Amazon took over Walmart. Dude, I didn't know that. That's crazy. I really thought Walmart, I thought I started seeing delivery vehicles of Walmart actually. So I thought Walmart would step it up. Like, oh, we ain't gonna let this happen. But, I was thinking about the other day. I'm not proud of it, but it's so convenient. Like, it is such a convenience. How can you not do it? We just got another, I don't have them, but they're the ties for the fence that I ordered. They're way cheaper. They're here. They're here. I ordered them at I think 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They came the next morning. I mean, jeez. I mean, you can't pay an employee or something to even drive to the vendor for that kind of stuff, and the road conditions and everything else. I would just start out focused, growing your brand organically. Let's just say organic is the best way. Small local areas. Good condition needs LiftMaster. Ours says they don't even have any yellow on the. Wow, yeah, that's crazy. That's really weird. What's up, PT? Did you see your opener? I got your opener in a box. I still got to get with it. She just pulled in. She just pulled in, so maybe I'll give it to. We'll go to whatever, 10:30 or so, and I'll go harass her. Say, give me a woman time, or give me a time, woman. To sell product and Home Depot is cheaper. Yeah, like I said, we got a lot of competition. I looked the other day. I could have sworn I had the wrong. I punched in the wrong area. I didn't have time to look, but I was I was like, I was like, I wonder if the one's still ahead or whatever on the old Google. And I typed in just repair garage doors, whatever, for the local city. And I kid you not, there was 8 to 12 more companies I've never seen. I was like, who the hell are these? I was like, what is going on? But I did watch a video. There's a video out there that is explaining, it was really good about explaining how there was, the way they were explaining it is have you noticed that the average repair guy now shows up in a brand new truck or van, and he shows up in a business suit or a nice suit, a company suit. And when you get the price of to repair something, a washer, a dryer, a fridge, the parts, the manufacturers have gotten smart. And I kept thinking, oh, keep going. And I'm thinking, yeah, just like the circuit boards. Circuit boards used to be $40, $60. You know what I mean? Now they're $120, $180, $200. You know what I mean? So they were saying how the manufacturer wins because what it is that you might give a price to repair something, and then and you don't know, right? Every customer, you don't get every customer. The customer might go, that's just too much. I'm not, I'll have to think about it, right? We've all had that. I'll have to think about it, and then it's, what they do is they sit there and go, God, this guy's charging me 400, 600, whatever. I mean, for 300, 600 bucks, I could just go get a whole new one from the store. So it's the manufacturers win. You know what I'm saying? They win because, either they get you on these up inflated parts, or you didn't get the job, but they still get the, because they got this stuff engineered now, so it doesn't, the fridges don't last, the washers and dryers don't last. It's really sad. Oh, and it's your birthday? That's cool. It's my kid's birthday, too. Too bad she's not going down there. You can wish her happy birthday. She'll be with me. 70th. Holy cow, man. happy birthday, Tony. 70. Wow, man. Made it farther than most of those actors. Boy, a lot of actors been peeling off lately. Who's the one that had that? Made some video too. It was kind of heart wrenching. I forget what it is. Something that deals with your muscles, but. Oh, 71. Get it right. 75. Ooh, that might be it. It might be one there. Free gift. Oh, maybe they give spankings or something. It's like when you go to Texas. Is it Texas Roadhouse, right? They make you ride the horse. That's always embarrassing. There you go. Yeah, best 71-year-old. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. A Service Spring? No, he's a WD, man. He's a WD. Actually, I'm thinking about it. Our spray lube was making a horrendous mess today. And I was thinking about going and getting a gallon or two of the WD and putting in a spray bottle for this. They said that I did Google it, and the AI said you're supposed to use like a silicone base. I kept thinking, well, do they have a more silicone base product that's in a 1 gallon jug that I can just dump into a bottle? Because it's spraying out, so it's this stuff right here. What's his name? Didn't even like using it. He said, man, my finger's getting, he was doing so many doors. My finger's getting tired, but it was spraying out with such a squirt, you know? And I said, yeah. I said, you almost need like a spray, hand spray. I said, and that way you could kind of douse the springs, because he was kind of making a mess. Like stuff was dribbling down. I was just like, oof. Like, these guys keep this place. I mean, it's still working on cars and stuff, but they keep it pretty nice. Says no, I'll be 58. Oh my gosh. Ooh, need a straw? I think they do send you straws too. But I don't know. You know, the WD, not the cans. I do the spray like PT does, but it does need probably a little heavier than WD for this being a commercial place. 3-inch rollers. Man, they kind of use and abuse it. You know, I was thinking about getting that stuff. I think Tanner gets stuff from, what's he get? Cheaper? Cheaper at Menards, I think. Tanner gets, I thought about trying some of theirs, but the cans might be smaller, so I don't know if the maths out. But like the one lady said, she says, we don't have time for that. Toll Gate Drive. Huh. Toll Gate Drive, Service Spring. Is that there? It says Toll Gate Drive, Ohio. Base lubricant. Improves garage door performance, quiets, noisy, tracks. Never read the stuff. As can gas under pressure. It tells you not to get it in your eyes. Use gel as its clear hide adhesive strength. Ooh. Door lubricant, easy. Yeek. Harbor Freight. What kind of spray are you talking about? Like the backpack sprayer? Could probably just put it. I like this little guy, man. I love this little guy. But I use it for all kinds. It's really for cleaning out the mini split. But I was using it for de-icer. And this thing just so handy. You got your little pump. It's really, you know, you can use it for tires. You know, if tires got leaks in them, put some soap in there. And soapy water. Oh, like you think a little oil? Like you thinking motor oil? Make it a little thicker. Charge for lube per door. Heck yeah, man. Use 3-in-1. 3-in-1. I think I got one right here. Does this one say? No, I don't know what this one says. I got all kinds of. Kind of get stuff, you know, when you're drifting through the store. I don't know what this one was. I thought this used to say 3. This is Blast. Well, that's all purpose. I don't know what that one was. Holy shnikes. All right, I probably should go because, you know, Wife-a-tron and PT and early morning and all that kind of jazz. I don't know. All that good stuff that's going to happen. PT one more time. One more time for PT. Since it's his birthday. Happy birthday to you. Blow out your candles. All right, there you go. I think it looks like it's in good shape there, PT. was looking at that gear. I don't see no cracks. I don't see nothing missing, so hopefully it works. Kind of cool it gets repurposed. You said it said on there something about light duty, though, right? I don't know if this one says anything. Open sesame. Man, that's a hell of a light cover, I tell you what. There we go. This one say anything about warning? Dirty. Something flashes. 3 flashes. Risk. I don't see antenna. I don't see nothing on that one. Frequency. Does say a model on here, I think, though. Either way, this is the one. This is the one. Where's your guys' cereal? MD 1210, huh? Or MD linear? Residential. This one says residential. Oh, might not be it. It's not commercial. Man, these ones can take 100 watt max too. Son of a gun. I do like the covers though. I like kind of how they got this foam in here to like muffle it. I mean, that's a nice piece of foam. I feel like I could take that and use that for my deer blind to sit on that puppy. And then they got final. I like how it's got this final test results. Pass, pass, pass. I mean, at least, you know what I mean? The unit passed all tests and is good. Nice. Huh. Mechanical limits. Oh, come back, mechanical limits. I miss you. See, from another doors don't want it. So reattach the opener to the door. Wow. Love it. And spray tool. It's the one the guys used to do his commercial stuff. Nice. Well, that's all that matters, right? I'm pretty sure, like you said, it's pretty much the same, but that saves it from going to the old, getting shipped over to China, getting melted down or something, right? All right, guys, I'm going to hop off. I got to get talk to Electron. I got to still get with PT and wash my hands and clean up this truck just a touch more for the kiddo. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for the likes. Always appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great weekend if I don't talk to you then. And if I do, well, come on by. We'll talk again. See you later.